जय गणेश रक्षमा
जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश रक्षमा
जय गणेश रक्षमा
जय गणेश पाहि मां श्री गणेश रक्षमा गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
पार्वती नंदन श्री गणेश
पार्वती नंदन श्री गणेश
पार्वती नंदन श्री गणेश
पार्वती नंदन श्री गणेश
शरणं गणेश शरणं गणेश
शरणं गणेश शरणं गणेश
शरणं गणेश शरणं गणेश
शरणं गणेश शरणं गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
पार्वती नंदन श्री गणेश
पार्वती नंदन श्री गणेश
शरणं गणेश शरणं गणेश
शरणं गणेश शरणं गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
शिवनंदन गणपती गणेश
गौरी गणेश उमा गणेश
Most loving and reverential pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. Prayerfully seek divine permission and blessing for this session. I'm here only for 1 minute before you to express our deep gratitude to Bhagwan Baba for taking care of this program so wonderfully well, showering all this grace on our program. Secondly, to express our deep gratitude to Madam Karuna Munshi, Director of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, a unit of Sri Sathya Sai Central Trust, for providing all these noble, unique faculty members for our training program. And thirdly, to express our happiness and gratitude to Sister Dr. Akila for being with us. May Swami bless you all. Sai Ram, thank you.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Now I request Mr. Vishnuvardhan sir, National IT Team, Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization, to welcome and introduce our guest speaker. Om Shri Sai. Over to Vishnuvardhan sir.
Yeah, Sai Ram to everyone. My humble request, kindly mute your videos and audios except the speakers, so that the audio will be clear. When you have a question and answer session, then you can open your audios and then talk to it. Okay. Sai Ram to everyone. My humble pronouns at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. As we have been conducting a series of talks with the initiation of our Journal President, Professor Mukundan sir, and this is one of them. We have already released the October programs. We have down the lane 3-4 such sessions. Today we are fortunate and lucky to have a very noble devotee as well as educationist, and I am just going to briefly introduce our Sai sister, Dr. Akila Indurti a brief details about her achievements and her association with organization as well as with Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. Dr. Akila Indurti has got a passion for English language that shows from her brief profile, which she has shared with me. Right from the education field, like she has done her PG, MA and MPhil in English language, and later on continued her PhD in English language. And then coming from a very devoted family, already she has been attached to Bhagwan's principles. And particularly, in particular, to Vidya Vahini, Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, she has been almost with 12 years now. Since 2012, close to 12 years, she has been with Vidya Vahini. And prior to that, she was actually, for some time, she was in the Middle East. And having the background of, in the childhood itself, she has completed her Balavikas and pre-Sevadal courses and trainings. So having that background in the Middle East, the Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Oman, Muscat, Doha, those countries, all are Muslim-dominated Muslim countries, but we have our presence. Sathya Sai organization is there. And she has conducted education in human values workshops in these countries. And like she was a Balavikas guru, and later she became an educational coordinator, and then she became a EHV coordinator in the Middle East. Okay. And then coming to the Vidya Vahini part, her contributions are very much appreciated. And I, being personally, I am also in the Vidya Vahini under her guidance and leadership. We have many programs in Vidya Vahini for which Dr. Akila Indurti has been instrumental in making those programs very successful. Basically, this is actually, we call it as a Mission English. It's a very big program, and she is instrumental in designing and developing the courses for these programs under Vidya Vahini. And for example, we call it as a flagship program of Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, which is under Central Trust. Phone Your Friend. It's a very popular language development program. And we have actually, across the country, we have almost like 366 learners through this program. It's a well-structured English development program. And those teachers who have undergone these stages like elementary, basic, intermediate, and upper intermediate courses, for which Akila Indurti Garu has developed the structure, and it has been in implementation in several schools and individual teachers, and those who are going for competitive exams also, they have taken up these courses. And I'm sure, because I'm personally involved in this program, after going these programs, definitely a non-English teaching, like, anyone, English is not our like native language, but after these courses, the teachers are able to deliver a better notes in the classroom with a good English. So for that, Dr. Akila Indurti has really done a lot of work in designing the courses and developing these courses. And then recently, we have also introduced Sign In, an app which has been developed, which has been released by our Chakravarti Garu and Ratnakar Garu, I think 2 years ago. Further, the content has been developed, and the content has been given by Akila Indurti, and it's a online app-based one, which don't require any contact program. And throughout India, we have almost 839 learners through this app developing their in the English language. And then next is, there's two more programs which where our sister Akila Indurti has been involved deeply. One is Swayam platform, and second is English immersion program. These are two very, very important programs. Through the Swayam platform, she has been involved with the government of India and government of Karnataka, where the presence with a course, Education for Sustainable Development. This has been designed and developed by our Sai sister. Okay. And for Government of Karnataka also, through UNICEF SSA, we call it Sarva Siksha Abhiyan. She has developed a course called Foundational Literacy Program and trained government teachers in Karnataka state. Okay. And with this very important program like English Immersion Program, we have close to 4,000 people in India and across like all the states benefiting the structures or the program developed by our Sai sisters, and everyone is benefiting through these programs and developing their own English language, and so that they are delivering the goods in classroom with a better English language. Okay. And with this brief introduction, I request our Sai sister, Dr. Akila Indurti garu. Today, she will be speaking on building English language proficiency in learners. I request Sai sister, Dr. Akila Indurti garu, to take over the session. Sai Ram sister, thank you so much.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Offering my most loving pranams at the lotus feet of our Bhagwan. Thank you very much, Professor Mukundan sir, and for having me here in the first place, and Brother Vishnuvardhan for that brief introduction. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be talking to all of you about, somebody says a voice is not clear. I think there have been many messages. Let's just see what their concerns are.
No, madam, your voice is very clear. Actually, they should, they should unmute the mute the videos. Actually,
right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I think you need to check maybe your own connection for all those. And with your permission, let me start sharing my screen. Give me a minute, please. Yeah, I think you are able to see my screen, right? So I'll go off the screen because for purpose of better Wi-Fi. I'll come back to you all when I'm taking the questions. So until then, we will just look at the screen and we will get going. So the main thing is we start with our dedication, and this is part of our I think it's not showing up here, so I'm just wondering what the problem is. Just a second.
Pavani Yechuri, please stop your video, please. Pavani Yechuri.
Ma'am, it's a bit slower. That's it. No issues, ma'am.
Yeah, all right. So this is the module that we will be looking today is building English language proficiency in learners. Basically, I think most of you are teachers, and you have been maybe part of our Mission English program, the Phone Your Friend, the Sign In, and I'll take all the questions towards the end. I know many of you have raised your hands. In case it's got something to do with the program itself that is going on now, you can perhaps text and tell us what the problem is. But if you have questions, we will do it in two parts. What I'll do is first I'll complete the presentation, and after that I will ask you if you have any doubts on the session that I have conducted, and then I'll take your questions. We will go through it. Yes, Shanti Varanasi sister, you have a concern? You can text in case you have any doubt. All right. So today's agenda will be like this. We will start with what the Mission English program is. Why is the SSSVV, that is Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, concentrating on this particular program, that is Mission English? It's one of the verticals of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, which has got many offerings. Actually, Vidya Vahini is into the content creation for from classes 1 to 10. Then we have training the teachers. Then we also have something called the Foundational Literacy and Numeracy, that is SOPAN program. And we also have Mission English as one of the offerings from our Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. What is the purpose of this program and how is it tied to the new education policy of 2020? What are the salient points from there which are going to be useful for us, and how it is going to be a competency-based learning? Most of you, if you are in the teaching field, I believe many of you are teachers. It will be useful for you because it's no longer going to be where you're testing the students on their rote learning. It's no longer going to be a content-based teaching that you're doing. It's more of competency-based. How are you going to develop the competencies of the students? And what do we mean by authentic tasks? And how can we use language to drive other subjects? Because many of you here may not be English language teachers. Never mind. It is not that you will have to, build the learner's proficiency only during the English language class. It is also during the other subjects that you teach. So how can we use the English language to drive other subjects? And a little bit once again about our Mission English before we conclude is how we plan this to have this session. What is the purpose of this particular program? Now, all of you know that in this country, though our political masters, due to various other reasons, they keep telling us that it is the mother language which is important, the regional language. All of us believe, all of us subscribe to that view. There is no two opinion about it. Yes, as children born in this wonderful country called Bharat, we have to introduce them first only to our mother language and next to the regional language, because many of us may not be we may be from our mother tongue may be something different, but the state language may be something different. So the regional language, the state language and the mother language, both these are very important for children as soon as they are born to be immersed in these languages. But along with it, it's also important for children to undergo a reasonably good level of English language, because we know that English language is being used across the country today to bridge the gap. More so it is not like before, where people used to study in a particular place and very few people would move away from their places and go to other parts of the country, either for their job or relocate for various other reasons, for business or for education. More or less, recall the time, those of you who were born in your 60s, 70s, and to some extent the 80s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, and to some extent the 80s, a large part of people continued to stay in their own places. So it was quite all right for them if they were not going to learn English or depend a lot on English language or think of building their English language skills. But after the 80s, when maybe after the late 80s, what happened was a lot of movement started happening across the country and also outside the country. So English started becoming the link language, especially for those of us who are from the South. English was the one that actually bound, say for example, we would come to Patti and we would meet so many other brothers and sisters from other states. So English became the link language, and this is not just here. Even as students moved or people moved to other states for their jobs or for setting up businesses, or if they went overseas, English became the language which was used to bridge the gap. But what happened also, along with one set of students who are very comfortable, one set of people who are very comfortable with English, there's also the other group of people who studied only in the vernacular language, and they would find it very difficult if they moved out of their comfort zone. For example, if they were moving out of their native places and they were coming into other towns or cities, especially maybe for the sake of job or for higher studies, you would always find that they would huddle themselves, among people who could speak their language, because they were not very comfortable in English and they would not respond. It's not because they were lagging behind in their content knowledge. It was because of their communication skills. And this we see, especially in cities, those of us who are working in cities, we realize if there are people who come from smaller towns, they would be very shy. They would not open up initially because they feel that, they have their language skills are not very good, and then it requires a great deal to draw them out of their shell. And then of course they become more comfortable, they find their own people, and they start speaking, and then they think it's not so intimidating after all. So what happens is, if we want to empower our students, especially from the smaller towns, especially from the rural areas, especially from the semi-urban areas, it is very important for us to also give them the English language and see that they are proficient in English language. So once they improve in their fluency and also accuracy, that is also very important. They speak good, correct English. They are confident. Either they have to face interviews, or whether they have to go for group discussions, whether in their colleges, universities, or in their offices, they become much more confident. Therefore, what happens, there is a blossoming of their personalities, and they start metamorphosing into confident young adults. So that's the progression that we are looking at through our Mission English program. Now, what does NEP 2020 say? Now, this is where we as teachers, as educators, as most of you who are working in schools, where you are dealing with children. See, when you started, when maybe you have done your B.Ed and you have had long years of experience, what happened? How did you all study? You would just look into your textbooks, you would go back to your classes, and you would teach them. It is more a monologue in the class, and most of the teachers take great pride in saying that there is pin drop silence in the class. Would you agree with me on that? Most of us think that if there is pin drop silence in the school, then that school is supposed to be very good and disciplined. I'm sure many of you would subscribe to that view. But let us remember that we are going to a school, not a graveyard. A school is a place which is live, which should be bustling with energy, where the children are going to make a lot of noise, not because it is not cacophony, it is not noise actually, it is actually their participation in the teaching learning process. So what is NEP doing? What has NEP done? The 2020 document clearly documents, it says that teachers will have to speak less, allow the learners to participate more in the classes, and there should be a lot of flexibility in the classes. When they say flexibility, it is flexibility in many ways. First of all, in the seating arrangement. Usually what happens, the teacher stands at the head, and then there are rows of benches and desks where the children sit quietly, and then the teacher starts teaching and then goes to the board and writes something and then gives them, she's like a person who is overseeing everything. Now that particular seating arrangement itself is being, questioned by the NEP 2020. It says make the classes where the teacher can just go around, where children sit in small semicircles, where they are able to talk and conduct their small discussions. Discussion is not talking about something that happened outside of the classes, but at every stage, you just ask them to study one paragraph and explain. Maybe it becomes the children can explain it better, and then if they've made a mistake, there's a lot of peer-led learning that's going to happen. There's a lot of self-learning that's going to happen. So the teachers have been asked to talk less. So that's the very first thing that NEP 2020 focuses on. And if your schools have not moved there yet, don't worry, it's going to happen eventually. And that is what Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini is trying to empower the teachers before it becomes a mandate, before it becomes compulsory. And because many teachers require a lot of capacity building programs, because you do not know, it's going to be very different from what you have actually been asked to do all these years, or what you have been taught in your B.Ed classes that you should do. You did not sign up for something like this. You have not bargained that, you know, there will be a total change in the very pattern of the classrooms, in the very pattern of the teaching learning process. So in order to empower all of you teachers, Vidya Vahini has come out with a lot of courses. And one such is this particular building, Proficiency, English language proficiency in learners, is part of that same paradigm. And there's one more thing that NEP talks about, that there will be no hard separation. There will not be anything like an arts class or a science class or a curricular or an extracurricular or, you know, vocational academic streams. It says, let us just mix everything. If there is a math program and if that can be done through a playway method, let's bring that. If there is a science class and if you can make use of art to tell that, to do it better, then let's make use of that. If there's going to be a social studies class where children can move around and come to the stage and start, you know, maybe a debate or a discussion, then let's do that. So there's going to be art integration, there's going to be sports integration, there's going to be a lot of storytelling that's going to happen. Now you can ask me, how are all these things going to happen? And this is what we've been doing in our content. If you can see, a lot of this we have brought about, you know, one of our, we follow the 7 asset methodology. So you can see a lot of interesting asides, daily relevance, because all these years what we have done, we have taught them something, and then when they go out of the school and college, the industries say that they are not industry ready. So what is it that they've been doing for those 19, 20 long years? Spending so much of their money and time. It is of no use at all. So that is the reason why we now say that it has to be very authentic. We need to bring a lot of real world tasks into our classrooms. Not just teach them something from the textbook, which has got absolutely no relevance. Now, if you ask me what I studied in my school, I would have to put up my hands and say, I think I don't remember anything at all. Because nothing what was taught went into my head, and I was just not interested in what the teachers were trying to do, because all that they had to do was, they thought that, you know, bringing in all that 200-page book into my head was all that was required. And what were the students supposed to do? Just go and regurgitate it during the exams. What is it that we were testing all these years? The ability to recall. So if your memory power was good, you could by heart everything and go and vomit it there in the classroom, in the examination. So that is not exactly the purpose. And so when they go out and say, what is it that you have learned? Absolutely no relevance to their daily lives. That is the reason that we have now said that there will be no silos between different areas of learning. See, for example, when you, let me just give you a very ordinary example. When most of us go into the kitchen to cook something or the other. Now look at the different skills that are required when you go to cook. First of all, your math should be very, very correct, because it all starts with the proportion. If I have to cook for 2 people, I should know how much I should cook. I can't just take so much, one whole full packet of rice and dump it into the cooker. That's not the way I should cook. So I should know how much I should cook for 2 people. So I am putting my math skill to use. Then I must know how much I should heat it, how much I should boil something, how much I should cook something. It should not be overcooked or undercooked. So I'm using a lot of principles from physics into it. And I should know how to peel, and I should know how to cut, and I should know how to dice, and I should know how to chop. So there are different skills that are coming into play. Now, I don't have different compartments in my head. I don't say this is a math skill. So now my math skill, please come and tell me how much I should do. All right, now math, you go away. Now my physics skill, please, now you come and tell me. I don't do that. When I'm doing something, it is a combination of all these skills that come together automatically. I don't even pause to think. All these skills come together and I just do it. My hands are doing the act of cooking. My head is thinking what I should add next. And I'm all the time, all my senses are fully focused. My nose is saying, yes, the smell, no, something is getting burnt. So that means it is not all right. So my olfactory nerve is fully in function. So you see, it's a combination of things that are happening. But in the school, we don't do that. You say, I'm a math teacher. This has got nothing to do with me. I'm a language teacher. I'm going to teach them only language. That's not the way real life works. All these skills have to come together. So that's why we said there will be no different areas of learning. There will not be a math area. There will not be an English area. There will not be a science area. It should be holistic. Whatever education we are going to be imparting to our students, it should be multidisciplinary, which means we have to bring in everything into our classes. Now you can ask me how we can do it. It's very simple. It's just that you have to start thinking in real world terms. And as the session progresses, to the extent possible within this available time, I will try to give you examples from real life and how you can put that in your classes. So what we are trying to now make the student well versed in is conceptual understanding. They need to understand the concept, not just if it is going to be a physics lesson, it's not just a mere definition on pressure, force, what is an inclined surface. By asking me questions like define this, of what use is that going to be? I would have forgotten as soon as I write the exam. Rather, if it's going to be an application based, my cooker gives me 2 whistles, 3 whistles. So what is the pressure that is being exerted there? I need to give a lot of force to push something. How much force do you think I should, I require to push a large carton? How much force do I require to push just a small pencil from this end to that end? That is more practical, rather than asking the students to just define. So there are no definition questions. The definition is just going to be to make them understand the concept. But we don't have to test them on that. I hope you will agree with me when you think about these things very deeply. Please think about it. What are we trying to create? We are not trying to create products in a factory line and then give them an ISI certification saying that all these products match the standard. Are all our children the same? They are not the same. So how do we expect all the children to come up and get the same, answer the same question in the same pattern? You just mark the answer in the textbook and say you just go by heart, you come back and you just write the same thing without even missing one A or an and. It is not exactly what is given in the textbook, so you are wrong. If you are that kind of a teacher, then let me assure you that such teachers are going to go out of jobs very soon. With so much of development that's happening in the field of, in every field, including the field of education, teachers who are all these years stressing on children writing or getting the notes by heart, such teachers are going to go out of job, believe me. It's just a question of time. It's not will it, it's only how quickly it is going to happen, when it is going to happen. So as teachers, we really need to change very, very quickly. Allow children to bring in creativity. Make them think critically. Make them decide for themselves. Bring in a lot of innovation in the class. And then, of course, we make use of language in this teaching and learning so that they can use the power of language to also empower themselves in other subject areas. And psychologists tell us that, you can promote multilingualism, any number of languages. It can be, my mother tongue is Telugu, but my regional language is Kannada. So I have to be proficient in both these languages. And I know English because I went to school and studied that. So between the years 2 and 8, you can pack the children with any number of languages. You don't have to worry. They will learn. But as adults, it may become very difficult for us. So we are reluctant. Therefore, we don't want them to use it. We are only, projecting our own fears, our own insecurities, our own inabilities on the children. And that is where the problem comes. If we are able to have an open mind and say that we are only facilitators, teachers are not all-knowing gods. We are not, definitely not. All that we can do is we can facilitate the process of teaching and learning. And remember, if we accept that in the class, and if we allow the children to participate, they would respect us a lot better than trying to hold them in the class using brute force or just mere discipline. Automatically, the class will be bustling with energy because you have allowed them to be creative. You have allowed their voices to be heard in the class. And it's going to be a session where all of you can learn together. So that is the life skill that you're going to teach them. Skills such as communication, cooperation amongst all the students and between you, the teacher, and the learners. There's going to be a lot of teamwork. And this is what is going to make the children resilient. Resilient in the sense they can face anything in the outside world because you've already prepared them in the portals in your school. So the competency-based learning trains us to shift the focus from rote learning to developing their critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills. And what are you going to evaluate? You are going to evaluate the student's ability to apply that knowledge in real-world situations. You're not going to test them on their definition, the knowledge that they have on the definitions, on their concepts. Of what use is that going to be? Throw them out of the window. That's not what we are going to teach them, or that's not what we are going to test them. How are you going to use? You're going to learn this in order that you will be able to find this out in the outside world. You will be using this in the outside world. So when we start doing this, then what happens? You are focusing on their practical skills and building their competencies. This way, what happens? Students can absorb information and also develop the capabilities which are required. Whatever you have taught them 5 years back is not going to be. See, why are the textbooks getting revised so rapidly? Because whatever was there in the textbook 5 years back is no longer of use today. Today, there are plenty other things that have come up. So you can't go on increasing the load on the child's head. That's not what is required. So what we need to train them or teach them is what is actually meaningful, so that they will be able to perform these meaningful tasks which actually replicate real world challenges. I will explain a little more on these authentic tasks and how we can use language to push these meaningful tasks into the other subjects and make the children learn. Now, when you're doing your lesson plans, what do you normally do? I would love to have this as an interactive session. So in case you have anything to contribute when I'm asking, feel free to text on the chat box so that I can I can see what you have texted there and I can read it out. For example, what is it that you normally do? You write the learning outcomes, and the learning outcome will normally be, you will have a lesson in front of you and you will take that lesson and you will say, this is what you're going to teach. Say if it is going to be the battle or 1857, let's say the battle of the First War of Independence, 1857. So you will say that is what they are going to teach them. And how will you teach them? You will start saying that this happened, the police station was attacked, and then there was the war between two communities, and then this went, and 1857 it culminated, and all these people came. And then you will start asking questions after you teach them. When did this happen? Who were the ones who participated? Now, how is that information ever going to help that student? First of all, if we are going to use history lessons and start asking them questions on, and I remember how we all used to sit and by heart all those years, especially if it is social studies, it was nightmare because we had to get all those years by heart. So many 1857, 1963, First World War, 1919 to 19 whatever, and then 1936 to 1945, the Second World War. What happened? When was Hiroshima bombed? When was Nagasaki? Of what use is that information? Instead, if you were to ask them, what was the repercussion of the nuclear bombing? It's going to be now 70, 80 years after it has happened. Even today, the area is so parched, the place where the nuclear bombs fell. People came, people did it, destroyed the world and went away. But who is facing all this difficulty? Generations of children, generations of men who are born year after year. They are the ones who are reaping the fruit of this kind of irresponsible action which man did. So how should we lead our lives? As children, you have to grow up. You may become leaders, you may become politicians, you may become realtors, you may become teachers, you may become lawyers, you may become doctors, you may become engineers. What is the kind of life that you are going to lead? Take responsibility for your action. This is exactly what Swami was trying to teach us, but he was far ahead of the time. Today, we are talking about global citizenship to be included in our social studies. And what Swami said was just that. He prepared us for all this. He spoke about unity of faiths. He spoke about integration of thought, word, and deed. Everything was taught to us by him. But all these things have to be now put into our lessons in a proper way. So what is it that you're going to assess? How a child's behavior is going to be moving forward. Based on what? Based on that lesson that you have taught them. Maybe it's going to be the World War, or you're taught them about the Indian War of Independence, whatever it is. So that is application based. So now what you will do is, as teachers, this is something that is called the backward design, which means you're going to first design the learning outcome. What is it that the student is going to learn out of this lesson? You're going to teach them this, that is the knowledge, in order to do something. In order to do something, which means the skill. What is the skill that they are going to learn by reading this which you have taught? It can be anything. It may be a skill. It may be a communication skill. It may be critical thinking skill. It may be any skill. And you're going to, next immediate task is start writing the assessment. And after you write the assessment, you go back to your classes and start teaching the lesson. It is ulta. All along what you are doing, you will take the content and then pick out the questions from the content. No. Write what is to be assessed based on the learning outcomes, and then you drive the content. So this is how the assessment should drive the curriculum. You should teach them what the students should know in order to be able to do something. So this is the meaning of authentic tasks. Now, how can we use language to drive other subjects? English language is not going to be taught as a subject. You are going to teach it as a skill. So if you're going to use it as a skill, the skill can be used in any lesson, in any class, any domain of learning, any area of learning, whether it is science, math, social studies, sports, arts, whichever class that you teach. For example, if it's going to be all about lever, fulcrum, load, effort, when you're teaching a science lesson, you could give us a very practical question like this. And I'm just picking out at random so that you kind of know what the flow is. I will not be able to train you in this 1 hour completely on how to do this, but what I'm giving you is just a trailer. It's a sample. And if we are interested, we can always have detailed sessions later on. So if an 80 kilogram football player wants to play on the seesaw with you, you are only about 40, 45. Children are what? 28 kilograms or 30 kilograms. Where will you put the seesaw's fulcrum so that you can easily lift him? Now he's thinking. You have not taught them just about lever, fulcrum, ask them to by heart it, but you're giving them a question and asking the answer in English, ask them to write the answer in English so that they are able to think critically about the question, apply the science, that lesson that you have taught them, and write in English. If it's going to be an inclined plane, for example, and you've taught them about different lengths, angles, force, and load, you can say, if I need to move a refrigerator off a truck, what can I do to make my job easy? And if it's going to be a wheel and axle, take from a practical one. Children would have definitely seen a toilet paper roll. That's an example of a wheel and an axle, because it spins around the axle, the center point. That's allowing the roll to turn. So you can give them a definition and tell them, have you seen this anywhere outside? Where have you seen it? You travel, you sit in your houses, you go to the malls, you go to shops, you go to shopping malls, supermarket, hypermarket, all these are there in all the towns and cities. Where have you seen this being applied? And definitely children will think. Make them think. Let them come back with answers. Let them do some bit of research. The class will be vibrant, not just talking aimlessly, but they will be thinking about what you have taught them. And if it's going to be a simple machine, tell them you can play a detective. All of them use mobiles. It's no secret. It's no big secret that they don't use mobiles. The minute they go back home, they'll lay their hands on their mobiles. Just tell them, take photos of everyday objects where you use or where you see simple machines. And then ask them to come back and explain it in 2 or 3 sentences. And if you're asking them to explain in English, their English language skill also improves. At the same time, their subject matter also improves. So the skill is listening and speaking. Listening because they're listening to other students and getting ideas. Speaking because they are speaking themselves. And if it's going to be a geography lesson, don't just tell them these are the type of clouds that there are there and this is the temperature. Instead, ask them to go out for 2 weeks continuously. Just go outside and observe the weather. No one day will be like the other, especially now with so much of climate change that's happening. The weather patterns are so erratic. Ask them to record the temperature. Ask them to take notes on the types of the clouds which are outside. And after that, ask them to do a line graph to say or to show how the temperature changes, or a bar graph to show the number of days that we saw each type of cloud. So this way, what happens? They are see the different types of multidisciplinary skills that they are getting by drawing a bar chart, or they are also bringing in a lot of statistics and mathematics. By talking about the clouds, they're getting a lot of geography inside. By discussing about why there is so much of, a dramatic error, patterns in the weather that is changing every day. You're talking about climate change. So you're bringing in a lot of science, environmental science. So you see that you're making use of different subjects. You can't say this is not my subject. That's ultimately, it's not your subject that the child has to be good at. He has to learn practically how to lead a life outside, not just math or physics or chemistry or social studies. So this is how we need to bring different kinds. Look at the various topics that you can bring many of these things: cyclones, floods, rainwater harvesting, so much of science, so much of practical knowledge, so much of water conservation, disaster management. You are touching upon so many subjects. Now, when I spoke about multidisciplinarity, this is what I was referring to. And here we can bring all the skills: listening, speaking, reading, writing. You don't need to confine yourselves only to the English class. Why is the child not speaking good English? Oh, the English teacher did not do it. That's not my job. I'm a geography teacher. I'm a science teacher. It's the job of the English teacher to see how much can an English teacher do in 45 minutes. It's everybody's job to see everybody is good in every subject. Similarly, the English teacher gives topics that are very, very topical. Speaks about, why do you think there is so much of rain? What happened in Wayanad? What happened recently in Dehradun? Why are there landslides? And then you talk about cutting the mountain slopes. The fragile ghats are getting destroyed. Therefore, there are landslides. But then we also have to make them think. We also have to give them livelihood. We need to plant the tea gardens because people need to also have livelihood. Then they start thinking, yes, so how do we balance, getting a livelihood or making a livelihood, earning for a livelihood, and at the same time protecting the environment. So you're not just giving them a skill in English, you're also making them think critically. Remember, you are making men and women, responsible men and women of the students who come to you. Keep that long-term goal in your mind. So this is how you can use local topics to explain concepts. You could just have in your English class, instead of simply all the time saying, write a leave letter to the teacher. Oh, that's bored. We've been doing that for the last 60, 70 years. Write a letter to your teacher saying that you were on leave and why you took leave, things like that. Instead, a letter is written by an elephant to a farmer who has got agricultural fields. It was once a green forest where the elephants lived. It has now become an agricultural field. Imaginative. Make the elephant write about the loss of his habitat, and therefore he comes and attacks the farmer or the farmland. But then what do? You try to keep bombs and kill these elephants, scare them away. Where will they go? We have taken their habitats. And then make another group of students reply as a farmer, saying that we need farmlands because we need to grow produce, we need to eat, we need to sell, we need to feed our families. So now there is a debate between the elephant and the farmer. Make them think, how can we balance these things? So you're making children, this is what we mean by critical thinking. This is what we mean by communication. If it's a science lesson, if you've taught them alternative energies, tell them, create a prototype of a vehicle which can run on alternative energy. They start thinking. They have a lot of EVs going on, electric vehicles now going on the roads. Let them talk about that. What is the principle on which it runs? Then make them think, but there are no charging points everywhere, or it is very expensive. So how do you balance? Children start thinking. See, they are speaking in English, they are writing in English, but they are also thinking about your subject. So this way you can, whether it is maths, I've given an example. I've already spoken about the traditional recipes. Ask them to come back and talk to you about, this is one example from math where you need to take so many cups of flour and sugar to make a dish. They can come out with their own, go back to their homes, ask their mothers or aunts or whoever is preparing, or their cooks, whoever is preparing, and come back and say the measurements. But at the same time, an important skill is being taught to them. There is a communication, there is a cookery skill, there's also a mathematics lesson that is being taught. So this is when I mean to say authentic task, these are some of the questions that you can think of. There are plenty. We can go on and on. We can get trained in all these things. I completely agree if you say that you require many hours of training, because first of all, you have to unlearn the traditional methods of learning where you keep asking children the same thing. But if you start giving them questions like this, children will never be noisy and trouble you in the class, because you're making them think of something that is very novel and something that they would love to participate. After all, this is what they're going to do in the outside world. How can you plan your dream vacation? Supposing this 20 days that you get in December, you can go anywhere in the world. Plan a dream vacation. How can you plan? Then you start, they'll very excitedly give them tasks. One group, make them into groups. One group can talk about budget allocation. Another can talk about making the travel plans. And another group can think about the tasks involved. And then they all come back and give you the plan, how they did it. So much of communication has happened in the class. Similarly, if it's a math, you can make it as an infomercial, which means both information as well as a commercial. Choose any math topic that you have taught them. Find out where it can be used. Is it being used anywhere outside the buildings that you see, or anywhere that you come? Tell them tomorrow when you come back, from the time that you start from your house to the time you reach the school, find out where, if it's shapes and figures, where all this is being used. They start observing. So their observation skills are getting, instead of sitting and watching their mobiles, they'll be looking at things outside. Why is this very important? For example, why is decimal important? Where have you seen it? Maybe they'll tell you in a petrol bunk they have seen it. So make them think, where instead of just teaching them that same old boring textbook, same old way of going to the class and intoning it in such a boring way and making them get the whole thing by heart, and then come back and test them the same way, and then tell them that as a class you are no good because you cannot do better, and make the parents come there, and parents tell you, oh, my children do not get proper marks. Maybe there's a problem with the teacher or the school, and you tell them, no, no, there is a problem in the house. Why all these things? If you are able to give them something creative, just see how the standard of the schools improve. Just see how the pass percentage in your classes improve. I don't know how many of you have been going through the competency-based question bank that CBSE is coming out now. Many of these things they are trying to make you do in the class. It's no longer going to be the same old remembering, and remember the Bloom's taxonomy. It's not going to be remembering and understanding. Nobody wants that. It's all going to be application oriented. And then we go out and shout, we say this is out of syllabus. What is out of syllabus? We don't go outside, and when a child goes out in the road and somebody or is sent to a shop for a task and the shopkeeper says, he doesn't say, no, this is out of syllabus. My teacher didn't teach this in the class. Somehow they have to find a solution to the task that is given outside. But have you prepared them for it? Sadly, no. As teachers, as schools, we have been failing them. As an education system, we have been failing them. And that is why now we say, we need to create, to sum up quickly whatever we have seen so far, we need to create an immersive language environment. And this cannot happen only in the English class. All the teachers have to participate. How can we create an English-rich classroom? We encourage the use of English in all communication, whether it is instruction, greeting, informal conversations, or if you want to display visual aids in class using English, posters, charts, word walls, all these, you will push your own subject, but in English. You use English in all the creatively, and you bring about a lot of interactive learning activities like group discussions and debates. You ask them to role play. You tell them, you now assume that you're going somewhere and this is the task that you have to do. How will you do it? See that they make use of all that you have taught in the class. There should be a lot of simulation in the class. You help the students build fluency, confidence in their English language skills. But in order to do all this as teachers, you have to be good in the subject or in the skill yourselves. Whether it is your subject matter, whichever subject you teach, you have to be really good. How do you do it? You try and empower yourself, enrich your knowledge. Do not worry, Shri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini is there. We are there to help you. Our content is rich in all these things. You can look at it, and as you know, as you are surfing, you can use it as your reference material and take bits and pieces here and there and use them in your class. And then for teachers to improve your English, we have the Phone Your Friend, which Brother Vishnuvardhan so beautifully spoke about in the introduction. We also have the Sign in the English app. And for the students, we have the English immersion program. And how, if you're going to do, I spoke to you about doing the assessments first, framing the assessments first, and then doing the lesson, and then going back to the content. But for that, you need to have strong rubrics. Rubrics means what you will test them on. A sample of the rubrics I have given in the English immersion program. If you're going through that, or in our speaking skill or listening skill, wherever, whichever skill that you're doing in the Mission English, how do you assess the children? On what basis do you assess the children? That's called the rubrics, the parameters. So once that framework is, you are trained in that framework, it's easy for you, you know what you have to test the children. And then you can drive the content to test them on that. The time that is given here is absolutely, it's, as I told you, is a tip of the iceberg. Whatever I have spoken to you so far is, it's just in a very brief nutshell, I have tried to speak to you about how you can build the language proficiency in the teachers. And within the given time, I've tried to show you a few examples. I know just with this, it may not be possible for you to be fully, empowered. It would take many, many more sessions. It would take a lot more of empowerment. But first, you must be convinced. As teachers, as educators, we need to be convinced that, we have to change our traditional methods of teaching. We have to bring in a lot of innovation so that children can become creative. Children can start building on their skills of creativity, critical thinking, communication. All these are known as the 21st century skills. And this is what the NEP 2020 is asking each one of us to do in our schools, so that our children can become citizens and they can become, you are creating as teachers, you are also doing a great task of nation building. Please do not forget that. In every session, I always tell the teachers that, you are not just going and teaching a subject. It's not just what you're doing as part of your, a profession. That is the immediate goal. But the larger goal is that you are trying to empower them because you want them to become good citizens. You are creating year after year. Remember the batches of students, 40, 30 students every year in each class. You take 2-3 sections, so about 100 or 120 children. How many lives you can touch in your career of about 25, 30 years? It's mind-boggling. You have an immense power. Don't forfeit that power. Use it. Think of it that way. Use that power. See to it that you create empowered citizens who will be grateful to you. Not like many of us who think of our teachers as, oh my, what did they even do in the classes? Not like that, but they come and remember the classes that you taught them. Make a difference in their lives. Thank you all for giving me, thank you, Professor Mukundan sir, for having given me this wonderful opportunity. And I hope I've been able to do some justice to all of you. And if you have any doubts, maybe we can use the next few minutes to clarify them. And I'm available for taking questions. Thank you, and Sairam.
Sairam teachers, please come forward with your, wherever you need clarification. It's not easy to get sister always. Utilize this opportunity fully.
Saira,
Yes, Sairam.
you are telling very, very good thing. But if the teacher is not that much efficient, how can they
Yes.
train their children?
Well, yes, that's a very good question, which we need to address. See, teachers are not, nobody is born efficient. We have two ways of, getting the efficiency sharpened. The first thing is the willingness to learn. That's something that's very important. The teacher should first be willing to learn so that she can go and make a difference. So that's the first thing. That's the motivational part of it, which we all need to work on. And the second thing, once that comes, once the teacher says, I want to be efficient, I want to be a good teacher, what she will do is she will start empowering herself. Maybe the first batch of students that she does, it may not be so good. The second year would be a little better. The third year, she has tasted success. She knows that she can make a difference. And that's why I said a long career of about 25, 30 years. But what happens, most teachers fall into that complacency mode for various reasons. One is that the school routine itself is so packed that physically, even if the spirit is willing, most of the times the flesh is weak. So by the time the teachers go back to their homes, they are so tired, there is no time for them, which is understandable. See, all of us also have to lead a personal life. We can't set that aside. That's why Swami said, hands in the society and heads in the forest. So we need to also do justice for our homes. So what we need to do as schools, that's why now it's very important for us to catch hold of the school leadership. If the school leaders are convinced that they need to improve the efficiency of the teachers, then they will try to reduce the burden of the teachers in tasks which are not important and give that time for teacher capacity building. You need to give a lot of time for teacher capacity building. As trainers, as educators, we know how much we need to, pump in order to make the teachers come up to that standard. See, somebody has to teach them, isn't it? They cannot, how will they learn? How do all of us learn? We need to attend those training sessions. So please give a lot of importance to training. Unless we are, once your set of teachers are trained, then what they can do in-house, you can start in the in the years to come, they can take over the role of the resource persons and they can start training other teachers, especially because when you call them that 1 week before the main school starts. Usually what happens, we try to burden them by asking them to fill in the attendance register, to do all the other things. They are doing lesson plans, but they're not doing it correctly. They are not doing it the way that it has to be done. So this is how we build on the efficiency of the teachers. So first is the willingness to unlearn what we have. Unlearning is a very big thing because that has gone and sat on our heads. We need to unlearn all the useless things that are there on the head and then learn whatever is relevant, new, innovative. And the third thing is we have to implement it in the class. So first is the motivation to learn, and the second is once that willingness to learn comes, we have to provide opportunities for them to learn. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, madam.
Yes,
I
good evening.
am Srikant from Siddipet.
Yes, Sairaj.
I am so glad, madam, to listen your class. This is good opportunity to me. Thank you, madam. Madam, any training do you provide to us, madam?
Vidya Vahini is in the business of training and content creation. If ever you need your school, are you a teacher or are you a school leadership?
I'm a teacher, madam. I'm a teacher.
You're a teacher. Kindly tell your school administrators, the school leaders, that Vidya Vahini provides comprehensive. The reason why Vidya Vahini has come up with this entire program is because we want to empower our teachers. We want to offer where CBSE is offering in a different way. All these high-end schools, they bring in experts from outside and they do it. But Vidya Vahini has got such a talent pool. Our trainers are so well trained. They will be more than eager to help you and your school to come up to the standard, because capacity building is something. Professional development now, if you see NEP talks about making every teacher go through 50 hours. In a year, you have to go through 50 hours of training. So if you write to Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, if your school administrator, the school head or the school principal writes saying that you really want your teachers to be empowered, definitely there are ways to do it. We do it online. We also visit schools and do it. There are various ways of doing it. Or if there is a group of schools that can get together in the same area and you can have a 2-day workshop.
We have complex meetings also, madam.
Yes, we are more than happy to, come and share our learnings with all of you teachers.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Sairam sister.
Yes,
This
Saira.
is Manjulata from Ongol sister. So
Yes.
your session one, we had a very, very wonderful session today, sister. And one problem with is, so whatever you taught, that is, we are ready to implement, but on behalf of the management, they are conducting so many programs like IIT sessions, so much of completion of the syllabus and all.
Yes.
So if we want to practice all these, implement all these, whatever is taught in the session,
yes.
so we are facing a lot of difficulty, and I think it's not possible in that 40 minutes of our class.
Absolutely. I completely understand. We call it the tyranny of syllabus, because there are only two things that every teacher or every school management wants the teacher to do: complete the syllabus, finish the portion.
Yes.
And they should get marks. Of what use is that marks going to be outside, whether it is really helping them? I want you all to think of something. See, many of you have been teachers for a long time. Many of you have been, I don't know how many school administrators are here. There are many of you who have established schools and you're doing such great, wonderful yeoman service to society. Just tell me, the children who have gone out from your schools, all the children who have been in the top, the school first, what I call the top, the school first children, those who have been getting school first, are they all successful once they have gone out of the school. And all the laggards in the school, the backbenchers who have not been so-called, they have not got very good marks. They have not got 90% or 95%. They have not brought laurels to the school. As far as, this is something that all of you have to do a lot of soul searching. Do you think that all those children have just become, useless in society? Just do a kind of a case study. And if you feel that only the first rankers and the 90% and above children have become successful, and those who are the 60% and the 70% or the average child has not been successful, then I agree that all the children, all the schools, all the teachers, all the administrators have to just go on pumping, as you've been doing, filling the head. Like the Chinese philosopher once said, the head is not a pot that has to be filled. So what happens, you bring IITs, you bring this. Can all of us get into IITs? I mean, I want to tell you this. I really want to speak so much to all the teachers, the school administrators. I was never a first ranker as far as math, physics, chemistry was concerned. But I am hugely successful in my life as I see it. And there are so many like me who have become successful without going into IITs. I am not for a minute belittling the engineers or the doctors of this country. We need them. But we also need other people. We also need other people who have other skills. We also need to recognize that children have other skills. They can become a good painter. They can become a good cook. They can become a good hairdresser. Today they have become multi-millionaires opening just hairdressing salons all over the country. It is this obsession with creating the IITs and IITs, the engineers, the doctors. We feel that nobody else is, fit enough or worthy enough of leading a life. That is not true, and definitely not in today's world. It might have been true 20, 30 years back to some extent. Even then it was not. In today's world, it is not. So as school leaders, they have to really recognize the fact that what we need to bring out, your child is good in something. If he's good in athletics, make him a good sports person. Good in speaking, make him a good debater. Make him he could go into the media. He could become a very good person in the media. If he's very good in debating skills, he can become a lawyer. If he's very good in science, he can become a scientist. Why have all these other professions just given a go by? Why are we belittling it in the school? This mindset has to change. And this has to start with you teachers. All the time you go on saying, if you don't do this, you will only be grazing cows. Of course, what are the techies doing? Come to Bangalore. They work till 25, 30, 20 years, and then they become so tired. And then they say, we bought a few farmlands outside the outskirts of Bangalore and we have become farmers. So whatever you said, if you are not going to study well, you become farmer, you will only be grazing cows. That's what they are doing. And these are so-called techies who have done very well in their studies. So don't even, it's because of this kind of, putting down children who you think are not good. When I mean you, I'm not individually pointing out a finger. I'm just pointing out to the mindset of the teachers, the parents, the school administrators. This mindset we have to work. At least we in Sathya Sai schools, we have to change this mindset. And when we do this, what happens? When they see children becoming successful in whichever field that they have taken up, parents have to be given sessions. That's why Swami started value parenting. We need to make these things. We need to talk to them about all these things. They are ignorant. It's a herd mentality. Somebody went, everybody has to go. Not necessary. We can chalk the road not taken. If you are doing the Robert Frost poem, the road not taken, and that's what made all the difference. So these are some of the things that we need to discuss. We have to tell. And if they do this, then of course teachers can get lot of space. You have lot of time. It's like you're making space in your cupboards. What we do, we remove the clutter when new clothes come. Now it's festive season and all the online shopping is absolutely chock-a-block. So we buy new clothes, but there's no space in the cupboard. What do? We try to remove the ones that we don't want. We throw it out and we make space for the newer ones. So whatever is not necessary, we don't have to do it in the class. It's not X plus this. No. We remove what is not necessary and bring in these new thoughts and see that the children improve and the teachers are empowered. If that thought starts percolating top down, then definitely you as teachers will get a lot more time to concentrate on all these things for your children. But you need to know. Unfortunately, if we are ignorant, we will never know. This is what the vision of NEP is, and we will be reaching there slowly but surely. Maybe it will take time. Some schools go there very quickly, some schools will go very slowly. But eventually, believe me, 10 years from now, wherever we are, please think about this session, and you will know how much the schools are going to be a very, very changed place. We are just making that beginning right now from here on. Any other question? I see a lot of hands that have been that are raised, but I don't know if you want to ask something or say something, comment on something.
Sairam ma'am.
Yes, Sairam.
This is Ramamani from Hyderabad.
Yes.
I am a teacher by profession.
Yes.
Your session is very educative, ma'am, and informative also. But my question is, the parents they want their children to get more marks. So they'll ask if they don't write properly. Suppose in English exam, if they don't write properly, naturally they'll fail in the exam. But the parents say, why you have failed them? You should have added all these things will come up, and they want their children to be passing in each and every exam, but they won't put efforts to improve their standards, right? So
Yes, that is a given, because parents know they have outsourced everything to the school. They think the school can do magic. Whether the child has an aptitude or not, they think that the teachers are going to sit there. And the funniest thing is, a parent cannot take care of 1 or 2 children, but they expect the teachers to do magic on 30, 40, 50 children. How is that possible? Yes, that mindset of the parents will be like that. We need to conduct a lot of awareness sessions for parents also. Talk to them. Conduct sessions. PTM is not just to make them see the report card of the children and comment on it. That makes them all the more irritated. The minute you show it's like it's a defense mechanism which kicks in. No, if you tell them the children are not okay in the class, they will come back and say you are not teaching properly.
You're not teaching well. Yes.
Yeah, so it is only a defense mechanism. This tu meme will go on. So the only way we can do it is create awareness sessions. We have to make a beginning. It's not going to happen immediately. All this I'm telling you, even after all these sessions, Vidya Vahini has been in this work, doing this work for the last at least 10, 12 years. After all this, again, teachers have not changed, school managements have not changed. It's like going to a doctor and the doctor gives a diet for the patient. And then you ask the doctor, should I take this diet along with my lunch or after my lunch? And then the doctor says, this is your lunch. So it's like after we teach all these things, okay, we will do all these things, what we've been doing, plus we'll do it. How is it possible? We only have this much time. It's not possible to pump in that much of information in anybody. So finally, we will not be doing justice to anything. So that mindset has to change. Once that mindset changes, then everything else falls in place. And that has to happen not only from the teachers, it has to happen in the management, the administrators, the parents. And then, of course, we talk about the children. Children are the poor things, they are at the receiving, they are the ones in the last in that line. So it cannot happen overnight, but the change will come. But for that, we as teachers, we as school administrators, we have to be open. We have to, the winds of change are blowing. It's not, see, now as I keep telling you again and again, we are all living like frogs in a well. We think that, oh, it's okay, these people are talking something fancy, but we'll continue with it. It cannot be business as usual, because things have to change. It is becoming a highly globalized world. So definitely things will change. It has to change. And the push will start coming sooner than later. So it is better we wake up and be prepared before that happens. And that's the reason why we will keep on repeating. We have no problem. We will come, we will keep training, we will keep repeating. There's absolutely no problem at all.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your input.
Yeah. Yeah, if there isn't anything else, I think we can, shall we, sir? Shall we?
Yes. Any more questions, please? Any more clarification you need?
Sairam, ma'am.
Yes, Sarah.
Sairam, is it like the training sessions will be provided only for teachers, or assistant professor can even be made a part of it, ma'am? Like colleges?
Yes, yes, why not? Whatever, see, whatever you want, your request, you kindly mail. You can mail it to director@srsatyasaividyavahini.org, or my email ID is english@srsatyasaividyavahini.org. Anything that you want us to provide, we can always custom make, and we can do it. There's not a problem at all. And if there are existing ones, we can also see where you can fit into it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because actually, I work for university, ma'am, and of course, we have students, different set of students. Even we have international students, and if this could be made available to the faculty members, so that could really be helpful for them. So I thought if it is available for them or not, like I just wanted to have that clarification.
Yes, it is open. See, Swami is, there is no copyright. It's copy left, isn't it?
Yes,
How
yes.
Swami that is how Swami has trained us all. It is what he has given us, which we have to share so widely and freely with everybody. It's only shared learnings that's why we are saying this global community. When we say global community, what do we mean? Everything is shared. So we are so happy to share, but we should know that there is an ask. There is a requirement. We wouldn't know where the requirement is. So now you know what it is. In case your teachers, your faculty, or anybody is interested, you can always ask us. We are ready to help you in whatever way we can.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sairam.
Yes.
Sairam, Akila madam.
Yes.
Vishnuvardhan here.
Yes, Sairam.
I posted to some of the links and important emails in the link chat box.
Hugely, that would be useful.
Those who are interested to get in touch with Vidya Vahini. I have also given my number.
Oh, great.
You forget, like anybody forgets the links or thing, you can contact me. I'll get in touch with I'll get you to the connected people. We have AP lead, we have Telangana lead for Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. Phone your friends and sign in. So we'll definitely assist you to improve your language, and definitely you will be a part of the bigger family. Okay. So Sairam, thank you, madam.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Any more clarification? Any more question, please?
Hello.
Yes.
Saira, madam.
Saira.
Madam, actually, I am from Kerala. My name is Sriraj.
Okay.
Now, the problem, I am very much shy to speak in English because I am so poor in English. Even though I am a teacher, I am a headmaster in my school. I was realizing that this is the problem. Actually, I got 20% of your talks. I only understood that. This is the problem that my children are also facing in my classrooms. Did you got what I said?
Yes, yes, yes. I completely understand. And I do not want you to feel bad or small because of that. It is not a problem at all because, as I told you, English is not our first language. It's a language that we use for communication. It's perfectly all right because maybe many of us have grown up only with our mother language. So it's perfectly all right. It is not a problem. But as I told you, there are two things. One is that if you have the intent to learn and to improve so that your children can benefit, as a headmaster, if you can think that you want to improve, your teachers would like to improve so that ultimately the children will benefit. You can always join our Mission English offerings. I showed you our Mission English. We have our phone, your friend program. We have the sign in the English app program through which you can do comfortably. There will be a mentor who knows Malayalam also. We have Sister Sandhya, who is our PYF Mission English lead in Kerala, who is doing a great job. And there is Brother Suraj Unikrishnan. So these are all people who are part of our Vidya Vahini state leadership for Kerala. If you can get in touch with them, or if you do not know, you can just ask. Brother Vishnuvardhan has given his number. Just ask him. I will send the information to him. Or even Professor Mukundan, Sir knows Suraj brother's number. He can give it to you. If your school is interested in enrolling for the Mission English program, don't worry. Don't say that we did not know, we are feeling bad. Don't, that's past. There are so many things that we didn't do in our lives, but that does not exclude us from doing something now. Until there is life, there is a lot of hope. So don't worry. We want to improve ourselves. Day by day, we can improve. There is no problem. Some people may learn in 30 days. Some people may learn in 300 days. There is no competition. There is no problem at all. So you just get in touch with these people in case you're interested, and definitely we will help. We'll see how you can improve your English, at least to some extent. We cannot work magic, but at the same time, if you and your teachers have that interest will motivate the mentors to do even better. They will definitely help you. And you don't have to worry that you did not learn English or you were not. It's the future that we are looking at, and the future of your school children. Does that answer your question?
Okay, okay, I understood that. Can I get the number, please?
Yes, you can contact Professor Sir.
94471.
Please, again, sir.
94471
Yes.
66844. Professor Bugudde. 94471
Yes.
66844.
Okay, thank you, sir. Whose name?
I am Professor Bugudde.
Yes, Professor Mugan. Okay, sir. Okay.
നമുക്കെല്ലാം ചെയ്യാം കേട്ടോ.
Okay. Thanks, Sairam, sir.
Sister Dr. Akila, we will conclude this.
Yes.
Loving Sairam to all teachers. We are extremely indebted to Sister Dr. Akila. She is our own sister.
Yes.
But the taste was so good, and we are waiting for tasting more and more. So, actually, I am speaking from bottom of my heart. It was so beautiful. How not to get outdated. How to convert the bookish knowledge into practical knowledge. These things are very important for any teacher, being a teacher myself.
Yes.
And I'm not using the word thank you, sister. We are greatly indebted to you.
No.
Greatly indebted to you, greatly indebted to Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. And immediately after this, I will call you for to have some more ideas on this.
Yes.
And there is a request to all the participants. If you feel this is good, share this message to maximum friends who are in the schools. And if you are really interested, talk to the colleagues and let your school be a center for follow-up work of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini, so that will be a great boon from Swami to the teachers as well as to the students. And the door of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini is always opened,
Yes.
always ready to help. And the Diksha portal under the Government of Education Department, fully, totally, the material is supplied by our thousands of our volunteers who are serving Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. So take this opportunity, make use of it, and we will be sharing the video of this session either tomorrow or after tomorrow, so that you can slowly study all these points, because every point needs at least 1 hour class. 1 hour this cannot be completed, so that take this opportunity and thank you so much for attending the course. Write in the group your experience of this session, because that will be the greatest motivation for those teachers who didn't attend. Because how much you have been beneficial for you, please write in the teachers, the WhatsApp group we are having. Spread this message, share this message, and by sharing, we are serving the society. We are serving our students and teachers. Sister Dr. Akila, so happy we are. So grateful to you and Sathya Sai Vidya Vahini. And as we know, when we are so happy, no words will come out. We are so happy and we are so blessed. And we pray to our beloved Bhagwan to shower all his grace on you. Thank you. Thank God, brothers and sisters who are attending the session. Brother Vishnuvardhan, you can conclude by chanting Shanti Mantra. Jai Sai Ram. Thank you.
Just one word before we conclude. I'm always available. Anything, there's nothing like, these are all sessions that Swami has given us. So many of you have been asking how to register for sign-in program. Please write to english@sri-sathya-sai-vidyavahini.org. I will respond to you on whatever you want. Okay, so we are available for any session, any training, anything, any help. We are all ready. We are all part of the same family. So it is a great blessing that Swami has brought us all together. So our deep gratitude and to Bhagwan and to Professor for having all the time encouraging us to be of some use to the organization, and to all the brothers, Brother Vishnuvardhan and all the other brothers and sisters who have attended this session. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Brother Vishnuvardhan.
Yes, sir. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan. Jai.
Yes.
Yes.